Hi everyone, I am Manisha Joshi and I have the privilege here today of being at the beautiful studio of photographer Agnes Lopez. Now you might have seen her work in the past in Jacksonville Magazine and several other publications, but more recently she has branched out on her own and is doing everything from commercial to personal, business, and food photography. She has also opened up her own modeling agency, Posewell Studio, and you're going to learn about her very close to the heart project. So Agnes, I am so excited to be here today.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. This is such a beautiful two-story studio. And for me, I would love to know what brought you into photography.
I started many years ago. I actually originally I worked as a makeup artist and a wardrobe stylist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
we have that in common.
Yeah, so I did a lot of stuff for stock photography companies. There used to be a company here called Superstock.
Okay.
And then I did stuff for like Getty Images and Corbis, and we did all this like medical shoots, business shoots, and things, and I did the wardrobe for those.
Oh, wow.
And so I work with photographers from all over. And I would watch them and kind of learn from them, and sometimes I would watch them and think, oh, I would do it completely different, or sometimes I think I could do a better job.
The editing's happening in the back of your mind.
And so I started doing the photography, and because I was in the industry, I knew a lot of models, so I just started taking pictures, and that's how I got into it.
Wow. For me, having dabbled in photography, but not at your level, I just love thinking about, composition and lighting and different angles, because a lot of times photographers or the clients have a certain expectation of the photographer. You know how I always hear, make me look young, make me look skinny, all of that fun stuff. But you really were editing as you were working at other companies. And so how long have you been photographing?
I have been, I've been in business for, I think it's been 17 years now.
So basically since birth?
Yeah. I've been in business for 17 years. When I was doing the hair and the makeup, I did that all throughout college.
That's great.
And even I think I started when I was like in high school, college, and then so.
That's great. Now, are you originally from Jacksonville?
I am born and raised in Jacksonville.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was actually right down the street. So
really?
St. Vincent's Hospital. So
I love it. So now you've branched out on your own, and how did you kind of get into having your own modeling agency?
So I just recently launched the agency last year.
Okay.
Because there's the pandemic was happening, and kind of my whole photography business completely stopped. And luckily, it was temporary, so that was good. But I didn't know, so I'm like, well, what do I do? I was like doing nothing, and I had a friend of mine. She had encouraged me, you really should open up an agency, because doing photography, I work with a lot of different agencies and everything, and whenever they needed models, they would always come to me.
Right.
And so
you knew all the right faces
and so
and
I
connections.
was already doing it, and it kind of made sense. And because I've been in the industry for so long, I've seen people go completely the wrong direction, and I really wanted to help people and help guide them into actually being successful in the industry, which can be done.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard industry to navigate unless you're in it. You don't know.
Exactly. I mean, you need someone to guide you and kind of say, hey, is this a good gig? Do you know this company?
Exactly.
There's so many scam artists out there, or just scary individuals that are looking for young talent, and you don't know who they are, but someone like you can be that go-between. It's such a scary thing to get into, and like I said, and I've seen so many people where they have, they actually have a great look, and they could, do work, but then they go down the wrong path, and it's like, no, you don't want to do that. There's a lot of scary stories out there. So I'm sure a lot of your friends and clients alike were excited that you started this, because Jacksonville being, we always talk about how big the city is, square mileage wise, but truthfully, it's a small kind of town and bringing this talent out. There are not a lot of local agencies, am I right?
No, there are a couple of agencies, and surprisingly, we actually do a lot of work here in Jacksonville.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from out of town come into film. You know, we've got the river, we've got the ocean.
Yeah.
It's you know, we used to be the Hollywood, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of production that happens here, and what I was finding was they were bringing in a lot of talent from out of town.
Okay.
And I was like, we have plenty of people here, and I think that was one of the things is, you know, finding the right people, and also understanding what people want now, you know,
right.
and as far as you know, the diversity and everything. That's kind of also one of the reasons why, multiple reasons, but when I started the agency, I wanted to represent people that look like me.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, I represent all different ages, you know, from the younger ones all the way up to, you know, I'm from like 15 to 12 all the way up to like 80.
So there's hope for us older women, huh? But I really like that because it's true. I mean, growing up, when I watched fashion shows with my mom, it was our weekend hobby. It was a very certain kind of stereotype,
yes.
and we did not see ourselves. You know, myself being from India, I didn't see, unless it was an Indian fashion show, I really didn't see myself in them. And, you know, my daughter loves all things fashion and modeling, and her size being more petite, she's been finding the same thing, that it's a slow change, but it's there, that we're moving more towards diverse figures, faces, all of it. So that's really positive.
Yeah, there's definitely, it's definitely changing, which is great.
Yeah.
And definitely recognize how important representation is. Like you said, growing up, I didn't see people that looked like me. And then, you know, only recently, like, and now I'm watching all these like shows where they're for like teens, and I'm like, oh my God, like I wish that was, you know, out when I was younger.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
And so, and being in the industry on the media side and the film, I recognize that I had the ability to help change that.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. I love that. I mean, especially when it's something close to your heart, you're going to put all the more effort. And you've had the experience, like you said, of not seeing yourself.
Yes.
And along with that, with your Filipino heritage, you started yet another, I'm going to ask you if you sleep, but you started yet another project called the Filipino Project.
Well, I have so many projects. But recently I did the Pinay Portrait Project, where I searched for young female Filipino artists in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And I wanted to kind of, again, photograph them and put them out there, because you want to see people that do what you do. And I recognized that there weren't, me being a photographer, there weren't a lot of people in the Asian community that are in the arts, and they are in the arts, but I didn't see them, you know, and so I wanted to, you know, find these artists and put them out there, and also so that younger, you know, females could see them. It's like, you could actually do this
and be inspired.
Yeah.
How did you find them?
I just kind of tapped my network, and I reached out to Dustin Harrod. He was the art teacher at FSCJ, and I said, hey, do you have any, you know, I just like kind of reached out to my network, do you know anybody? And Grace Bio, she was one of the artists that I've been a fan of, and, you know, I asked, she's very connected in the art industry, I said, who else is out there? So people were just kind of sending me who they knew, and so.
That's when you know your connections are working, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really wonderful because, again, and I want to backtrack. So you said it was the Pinay Project. So what does that word mean?
Pinay.
Or Pinay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Pinay is just Pinoy. It's short Filipino, and Pinay for, you know, for female.
Okay.
Female,
I thought it was really neat that you called it that.
Yeah.
And you had a similar project also, again, close to your heart, where you were featuring veterans, and was it World War II?
Yes.
Okay.
I was working on that project. It had been several years. I started back like 3 years ago. And I went around and photographed Filipino World War II veterans.
Wow.
And I think because of the political climate, I guess, I had this realization that although I always thought of myself as American, I'm just like anybody else, American. I had this realization that, people saw me, they may not initially think that I am American, although I am like born and raised in Jacksonville. So I had this kind of realization, and then I went through a lot of, I guess, questioning my identity. And wondering, am I American? Do I want to be American? And like, how do I feel about that? And then after I saw an article in a newspaper about the Filipino World War II veterans and how they fought for the United States. A lot of people do not know this, and I was actually ashamed because I didn't learn this in school.
And it wasn't until your project that it opened my eyes. When I saw the photography, when I saw what you wrote, I just went, I wouldn't know this. And you're right, it's not in the general history books. They do not
teach this, and that, during World War II, the United States recruited 200,000 Filipino soldiers to fight for the United States because they were U.S. territory. And in exchange, they were promised benefits, and they were U.S. citizens. And there were Filipinos that, veterans that were in the Philippines, and they were considered, they were U.S. citizens, and they never stepped foot in the United States.
That's amazing.
But they were very proud. So I learned about all of this history, and then again during that time I was questioning I'm like, no, I am American. Like you learn so much about how connected it is, and and I am learning so much about the immigration of the Filipinos coming to the United States and all of this history about the farm workers in California, the strikes, and I'm just like, why wasn't I taught all of this? So I decided, okay, what can I do about it? And I was like, this is a way that I can use my photography skills and help bring light to it. And so I pretty much just reached out to all the different veterans organizations. And I said, you tell me where they are, and if I can get to them, if I can drive to them, fly to them, I will do that. So I photographed several veterans, and unfortunately, many of them have passed away now. Because they were in their 90s when I photographed them.
I saw the images, and
some even 100. So I was very thankful that I did that project, and it really changed my life, and it changed the outlook, my outlook on life.
And I bet, just hearing you, I bet you touched their lives. I mean, even though they, like you said, some of them have passed, I feel like you coming into their life, and maybe in their last year of their last breath, someone recognized them. Somebody thought to, that's a big effort, you've done.
I definitely, and when I started doing it, and then to see, that they were being recognized, and you could see how proud they were, and also me knowing, they were in their 90s, and I'm like, the gravity of how important it was a big, it was a big deal for me. I get, and just the experience I had photographing them,
I know. We're not going to get teary-eyed, we promise, but it is a very emotional project, and I commend you for taking that time to do that, because a lot of times when a project like that begins, it's easy to do sort of the superficial, the photography, but you saw a story, you saw history, and you delved deeper, and I just know, I'm sure their families appreciate that.
And not only that, like the people that I photographed, like, they should be in history books. They should be written about. And it was almost, it was heartbreaking to me that people didn't know about this. And so I was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to put it out there and also keep their memory alive. So
Now, I remember as we were finishing our coffee earlier, you had mentioned you may be working with Indians like me.
I am looking to, yeah, I'm starting a new project. And I'm not sure when the timeline is, but again, this whole journey that I've been going through, and I recognized how diverse the Asian community is here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And so I was, obviously doing all of this for the Filipino community.
Right.
And I wanted people, there's so many different other cultures that, you don't even know are here.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to kind of delve into that. So that's a project that I'm working on. And also what it was like to immigrate to Jacksonville and kind of get their perspective and tell their story.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't directly immigrate to Jacksonville. I was only 6 months old, and my parents and both of my older sisters, we came into Nanuet, New York, and we were sort of East Coasters until lived a long time in Southern California. But as an immigrant, you have such an appreciation for being here in America. I mean, the opportunity, the education, the job market, everything. And at 15, my mom said, let's move back. And when we lived in India for 5 years, it was just, I tell everyone, when you live outside of America and you come back, you have such a great appreciation. So I can't wait to see the stories that unfold, because to me, when I talk to other immigrants, especially older, the parents that have brought their kids, they'll do everything to give them a better life. And not to say that life is worse outside, but the opportunity here is, unbelievable. I mean, you can work 3, 4, 5 jobs. You can do an MBA at 70 and nobody's going to blink. Whereas culturally, sometimes in other countries, you cannot do that. Because people will talk, or, what, is there a problem? That kind of a thing. So I'm excited you're going to be doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm excited to learn more about other cultures, and that's kind of the thing too. Is it's part of my journey, and I'm discovering so much about my heritage, and then recognize wait, I need to be open-minded and also learn about other cultures. If that so
that's great. So, for inspired photographers out there, are there tips or lessons you've learned along the way where you've looked back and thought, I can't believe I did that, but it helped me learn what you're doing now?
Lessons along the way. I mean, that's such a...
For example, I've been there when I thought I charged my camera and I didn't, and I was thankful I had backup cameras. But there's those little snafus you do where you think it's all prepared, everything's charged overnight, and suddenly you've got to go to plan B. And I'm sure also you've seen technology probably change. Oh my gosh, I mean, because when you started, it was the print era.
Yes.
And now everything is digital.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Backup upon backup upon backup. Like I have so many, and multiple cameras, but computer-wise, I have so many servers. It's insane how much. Luckily, my husband is in IT, so I'm able to so that for sure is a good tip. And then also, I guess, knowing your worth. Yeah. And sticking to what your guns, and knowing, okay, this I am worth,
absolutely. Yeah, no, there's a lot of times when we have a business, we don't know pricing. Yes. We're not sure how to present ourselves because we want the work so bad. Yeah. That we second guess our own talent, go ahead and give that discount, and then we're at that shortfall moment of positioning ourselves of less than who we are. Yeah. So that's a really good tip.
Yeah, and that's always such a hard thing. I think that's no one wants to talk or ask about pricing or anything. And I've always told people to charge what you feel comfortable charging, and then when that, I think a good photographer is someone that can produce no matter what the situation is. And so when you get to that point, then you should charge accordingly. You know?
I love it. So I know all of our viewers are going to want to contact you after hearing these great stories. What is the best way to reach you?
Probably just email. My website is agneslopez.com.
Okay.
And agnes@agneslopez.com.
So that's easy for all of us to remember. And then you also have Posewell Studios.
I have Posewell Studios. I have Posewell Models.
Okay.
But the best way is agnes@agneslopez.com.
Thank you for sharing your studio with us. After this episode, you're going to be seeing some nice little vignettes of her space. So if you need to be photographed, you know who to contact. But thank you for your time today. I got to know so much about your personal and professional history, and I cannot wait to see what you're going to do next.
It's great to get to know you.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, and thank you again for joining.
Thank you.